Hello everybody, Chris here, and in this video we're going to go ahead and create a new Shadowrun 5th edition character inside of Chummer, and I'll try to go through all the steps so that you can kind of get a hang of how it works. Chummer, of course, you can find on github.com/chummer5a/chummer5a, I believe it is. So yeah, go ahead and check it out if you haven't already. Let's go ahead and start a new character here. So the standard way for creating a character, I mean, I don't know why it defaults to this, but it's actually to use priority by the core rulebook. So I'm going to change to that. We'll do standard. Maximum availability of 12 is also normal. And from here, we have the ability to choose the priorities, which means setting an A, B, C, D, and E to different categories of our choice, depending on what we want to prioritize for our character. So, for instance, we can choose a fantasy meta type like B or A, or we could just play a human. I'll put the B in meta type so that we can play a troll, I guess. And as you can see by playing a troll, the advantage is they get a lot of free stats, and their body and strength can be ridiculous out of max. Beyond that, maybe A for attributes to make it kind of simple, and we won't do magic here. But yeah, that would be something you can fill in. But here we'll just play a mundane character. And for the other two, let's do D for money and C for skills, because I really don't want to spend 140,000 Nuyen. It's kind of a pain, actually, in Shadowrun to spend all the starting money. So, mundane, and the type is troll. So, yep, go ahead, hit OK there. And we have our new character tab opened up. So the first thing we can choose is positive qualities. You get 25 karma to spend on basically positive qualities, and also if you want like bonus skill points or even theoretically increased stats at the base. So we're going to go ahead and add some qualities in here, and we'll do positive qualities. Not really sure what I want to go with here. It won't like really get into the details of what everything does. We'll just grab some semi-random ones here. So how about lucky and toughness? Sounds good to me. And that'll be our positive qualities. As you can see on the far right, that spent 21 karma out of 25. We can also add in some negative qualities if we want. I'm not going to worry about that too much here. Oh, and of course, if you're going to add quality and you want to do negative, make sure it's negative on the dropdown. So from here, we can spend our stat points, which here we have 24 attribute points to increase these stats. So I could... Wow, trolls are just so ridiculous. Okay, so I can make a body of 10 and a strength of 9, and that would be a very stereotypical troll character. Ridiculously tough and ridiculously strong. And let's just add some stats randomly to the other ones. Of course, when you're going to be making your character, keep in mind that, well, I mean, just think about what kind of character you actually want to make. So let's see how many points we have left. Quite a few. Maybe one more on reaction and one on charisma. Sure, that's fine. We'll call the troll the tank. Why not? So, beyond that, I believe you get contact points equal to double your charisma, or is it triple? So I'll add a contact right there. Oh, it's triple, as you can see over here on the right. So the contact costs 2 to have. Well, actually, it doesn't cost 2 to have. The minimum connection and the minimum loyalty is 1, and each of that costs 1. So it's 1 point for every increase or decrease on this. So we'll just put, I don't know, Chummer the Gambler, why not? And bump up that loyalty. Add contact. Second contact. And he is a police chief. Then hit the drop down and spend the rest of those contact points. Enemies? I would think that enemies would be something more that your game master would tell you have, so that's not something really necessary to add here. So we'll just go over to the skills tab. So we get 28 active skills and 2 points of skill groups. So for those skill group points, I'll put those both into athletics, and we'll put the other 28 points into some random stuff. So I'm guessing we probably want some like blades or melee kind of stuff, considering this character has a strength of 9. So we'll bump that blades up to 6. What else does he need? Maybe a couple points in armor to fix his own stuff. Point in free fall. First aid's usually helpful. Sneaking. Let's just choose some random skills. I mean, you get the idea. Put the skills in whatever you want, whatever makes sense for your character. Groundcraft. Yep. And checking. How many skill points we have left? 7. Navigation, medicine, and archery. This is a very random character. And if you really wanted to, you can choose specializations. That costs 1 extra skill point. And somehow I went over my total skills. How the hell did that happen? Or I didn't. Okay. I'm not actually sure what happened there. Anyway, just make sure that your total skills add up to the skill points that you have over here. And we can do knowledge skills, which is based on, I believe it's your intuition and logic, and then doubled, something along those lines. But don't worry about it too much, because Chummer will automatically calculate that for you. And when it comes to knowledge skills, it can kind of be just about anything your Game Master will accept. So, like, law, that's fine, and you can put 3 points into law. You can do... Oh, they actually do have a drop-down list. I was going to say languages, so, like, Cantonese, for instance. And that's a language. Let's see. Fashion. That's pretty cool. And one more will be firearms. Now, note that when it's firearms as a knowledge skill, that's not the ability to use firearms. That's just knowing quite a bit about them. Moving on from that, since we've spent all those skill points, we'll go over to the limits tab and just kind of note that these different limits is the maximum number of hit dice you can officially succeed at with any given checks. So if you have like 20 dice on a physical roll and you make 15 successes, but your physical limit is 11, you get 11 successes, not 15. Okay, martial arts, not actually sure what that's about, but I'm pretty sure it's not necessary to every character. So cyberware, when you have money to spend, typically you waste a lot of cash on this kind of junk. So, I don't know, we'll give him dermal plating, basically armor skin. And as you can see, it costs essence, it costs neon, and it's restricted. So you would technically need a license for this, but I mean, what kind of Shadowrunner plays by the rules anyway, right? So just add that in. BioWare is kind of like cyberware, except it takes up less essence, but it's generally more expensive, so... Oh, and things like dermal plating and orthoskin don't sack, by the way, because they're both basically a skin augmentation for better armor. I don't know. We'll just leave that there for now. Delete. Okay, street gear. So, lifestyle, that's pretty important. If you want to, you know, not be a bum on the street, having a medium or high lifestyle might be kind of good. Determines how well your character eats, probably what kind of communities they are able to associate with. And obviously, the higher you go, the more it's going to cost in Nuyen per month. So definitely make note of that. And yeah, we'll just say medium. Actually, we'll say low. He's kind of not that rich. So the place will be called home. Just keep it simple. Now, I don't know if this stuff is mentioned in the core rulebook, but you do have some options to choose from. Like, if you want to increase the cost of the lifestyle or the home to get some extra benefits, that's an option. Or you can live in a dangerous area where you're likely to be the victim of a crime to reduce that cost. But you will just keep it standard and maybe just spend a lot of the cash on maintaining that lifestyle. So 5-6 months there, and then we'll spend 17,000 on. Okay, so once you've moved over to the clothing and armor tab, you can simply hit add armor to go ahead and purchase some, which is probably recommended because if you want to survive getting shot at, this kind of thing really helps for obvious reasons. So this guy's huge. So just give him some pretty heavy armor. We could even say, well, you actually can't buy full body armor because it has an availability of 14. And it's restricted, so yeah, if the Game Master says you can't have that, you can't have that. But you can get an armor jacket, which is pretty comparable. So just go ahead and add that. If we want to modify the armor, which is probably recommended in Shadowrun, you can give it like fire resistance and that kind of stuff by basically going into this menu and giving it a certain rating. I believe the total capacity of an armor is equal to its armor rating. So I have 9 more slots here for armor mods, which is pretty ridiculous. So we can make it not only fire resistant, but also chemical resistant, and let's see, non-conductivity to prevent basically electricity from harming it. And yeah, those are pretty nice things to have. In addition to all that, we can add in a helmet, because hey, what's wrong with having a couple extra points of armor for 100 Nuyen, right? And, that's probably good for now. I actually helmets do have capacity. Interesting. Don't know exactly how these things stack here, but I'll go ahead and give it the installation rating there. I guess it would only apply to attacks that actually affect the helmet, maybe. Who knows? So weapons, that's pretty important. Let's go ahead and grab, let's say, a katana. Pretty standard street samurai weapon. We might want a gun too, even though I think didn't even add a single point in a firearms, but whatever. So we'll grab a random gun there, and yeah, that's good for now, I think. So we'll go over to gear, and this is where it gets kind of monotonous, in my opinion, because there is so much gear that you can actually purchase, and some of which is pretty important. Like, I think you definitely want a cred stick. You're gonna need fake IDs, which I'm not certain if it's here or not. ID, cred sticks, maybe under a different tab, so we'll worry about that later. Oh, no, it's right here, actually. Okay, fake sen, sure. Rating 3, fake sen, pretty expensive, but probably a good thing to have. And what's the name of that fake sen gonna be? How about Josh the Tiger? What do I care? Add more gear. We would need a license, technically, for that dermal plating, was it? So, yep. Rating 2, okay. And, okay, here we go. Right, so it will take a little bit of time to go through this stuff. So Restricted Cyberware, I believe that's what we want. So it's actually not for each individual cyberware, but just to have cyberware in general. It's a good thing Chummer's there, because the people who put Chummer together probably have the rules down a little better than I do. Pets and Cohorts. I don't know much about that. Must have been an additional book from the core rulebook. And we can go over to vehicles and drones, I guess. Of course, glossing through the street gear, you probably want more stuff, like, for instance, ammunition. Okay, we'll actually do that. Ammunition standard, right? Regular ammo. Okay, great. And in addition to that, a comlink is pretty necessary. Okay, so the meta link, the absolute worst one you can get. And we'll go back over to vehicles and drones. Now, with 3,500 Nuyen, you really can't buy much, but there's a couple of things you can buy. Actually, I think Dodge Scoop might be literally the only one, but hey, we have enough money for it, so we'll grab one. Now, you can add modifications and that kind of thing to your vehicle. I'm not going to worry too much about that here. I doubt this guy can actually afford any. Yeah, it's just not happening. So just go to character info and kind of finish things up. Gender, age, eye color, blah, 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 description, background, concept, and any extra notes you want to add, plus a mugshot, which would just be a image for your character. And then when you're all said and done, which probably is going to take longer than this video, but will be satisfying in the end, and you'll have it all in cyberspace so that you can print it out or send it to your friends, whatever you need. You can go up to the file menu, hit print, save it to a location on your computer, do whatever you need to do with it, have it for future use, And that's about it for creating a basic Shadowrun character inside of Chummer. I know I glossed over a few things, so what I would recommend is if you need additional help, go ahead and check out the Chummer wiki, which you can access from the help tab inside of Chummer. And with that said, I've been Chris. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, consider donating to my Patreon, and I'll see you in my future videos.